Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to a Magen reading. I know you're wondering why this topic of all topics, not only just because this seems like this is a slower week, but this is one that I've been wanting to read on for a while because it seems like there have been kind of like a lot of things going on behind the scenes in the music industry when it comes to platforms such as Spotify, such as Tidal, such as Apple, such as Billboard, such as iHeart where they have kind of been, or Twitch even. There's been some scrambling and swaps going on even in the YouTube sphere when it comes to music. All of the ones that I can think of right now, I know Spotify has largely been brought to the front of the congregation on this, but there are allegations of payola in connections to the mob. These are all allegations. I'm stating that clearly because this is not coming from me. I have no proof of this, but this is something I wanted to do a reading on and see what's kind of coming out the wash here. Why is all of this coming up now? I know iHeart has recently been roped into some allegations as well when it comes to data breach, and then again they're doing a payola probe on them as well. Apple has been having things in regards to kind of like data breach essentially, or antitrust laws. Basically, most of it I believe is from Europe, but it's still something that's there where it's kind of just like, hey, what's all the funding and stuff coming from? Where are you hiding this money? Where is this money coming from? How is this being funneled out and how is it being paid? A lot of people have been looking at Billboard crazy for the past couple of years because it seems like they changed their rules and regulations. And maybe this has been something that has been going on previously, but I never really paid attention to it until, of recent years. I would say probably like the last 5 or 10 years, but it seems like they're changing their rules every year to try to help artists chart, or to make it seem more beneficial for one artist over another because of how their team operates, in promotions and advertising and things like that. Playlisting, etc. Also because the medium in which we consume our music has changed. And then again, when it comes to things like Twitch, I know Twitch has been in connection with a lot of like the music industry as well, because you have, I think of, the Kai Cenats, the what is his name? DJ Academics, the guy that was in a beef with Dochi. They've been connected in connection with certain artists, helping them revamp their careers or doing interviews and stuff with them. And people, I'm forgetting the guy's name, and I know he had a beef with Dochi, and he's like really close to Drake, and he's like roped into this like sports bet allegations. And so people are just kind of like looking at a lot of what the music industry as a whole do is just like really weird, and been moving funny. Some people who have, probably been around longer than I have been like, well, that comes with the territory of the music industry. This is a playbook as old as time. This is a song old as time, pun intended. And so people are kind of just like, hey, that's just kind of like the way the cookie crumbles. But for some of us who are like, we really want our money to go to artists, we really want to support those who are in support of us and the everyday person. They're not, squashing out third party musicians and things like that. They're actually wanting to see artists or political artists actually be pushed to the mainstream or to the front, and then instead they're getting drowned out because of these major artists or the industry sweethearts or favorites are being placed in priority as some of these bigger companies, because it's all cyclical. you know what is that big, is it Universal? I believe that's Universal Music Group. Like, they own some of the masters or are in contractual obligations to some of the biggest artists that's out there, and they are one of the biggest, I want to say, like, is the distributors or producers in the world. And that's globally, that's not just here in America, that's globally. And so they're in each other's pockets. They help prop each other up, allegedly. um the Grammys, when you think about Billboard, when you think about Spotify, Tidal, when you think about these artists and their tours and things like that. It's like all connected when you think about Ticketmaster. Like it's just, it goes on and on and on. And so I really wanted to kind of do a reading on this. I don't know how deep I'm going to get, but yeah, I thought I could do like a cursory look and see what comes out from me reading these cards. However, now that I've given that background, I'm going to stop blabbing on that and hope you kind of understand where I'm coming from and why I'm following with this. Especially since we haven't heard anything in a while, I thought it would be interesting to kind of see what I'm picking up on while it seems to be a lull in the cases, essentially. So with all that being said, I do want to issue a disclaimer. First and foremost, all statements made are alleged for entertainment purposes only because I am not in the music industry in any kind of way. I am a consumer like most of us who are watching this video, or most of you, I should say. I am simply a consumer. I am not someone, I'm not an exec. I don't work at any of these music companies. I don't work for any of these music companies. I'm not even adjacent in the sense of kind of like, well, I guess you could say adjacent because I'm on YouTube, but you know, I'm not adjacent in the say of like, I'm not a public relations person for anybody in the industry. I don't make beats for anyone. I'm not a songwriter or anything like that. I don't have any connections or insight into this. I am simply a bystander who loves music. And so of course there may be some modicum of truth to what I'm saying, but I am on the outside looking in. There should not be any kind of like weight carried in the questions or allegations or comments that I'm going to carry forward in this video, because I don't know. This is, again, speculation, allegations. Secondly, for those of you who are nervous or new to the world of tarot, or you have some kind of bias, I will say bias against tarot, that's perfectly understandable. I've been there, done that. I understand that this is something that is against your religion, your creed, your practices. This is your moment in time to click off. However, I do want to be clear and fair here in that I do not try to prop myself up as somebody who is all knowing and all seeing because I can use tarot. That is for powers greater and beyond and above me. That is not for me. I am simply trying to be a spiritual translator of sorts. I try to pick up on certain messages and images and things like that, intuitive hits that comes to me that spirit allows me to pick up on, and I try to translate and interpret that to you all, to give you the most straightforward message as possible that I can while using you know, this platform. If you are okay with that and you understand that I am a human and I am prone to misinterpreting or mistranslating something from spirit, because again, I am just human. I am, you know, not a perfect being, all-seeing being. I'm not omnipotent of any sort. Then we can continue forward with this reading. Just know that, again, this is for entertainment purposes, and hopefully there are messages here for, you know, everyday consumers to kind of like inform us of what's going on behind the scenes of some of these bigger industries that are shaping the way that we think, the way that we consume art, the way that we consume music, the way that we, you know, shape and consume our world even. So now that that is out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle these cards, and I'm going to see what I'm going to get here. I think first and foremost, we're going to look into the Spotify allegations, mainly the ties to the mob and kind of like the playlisting. I said allegations, again, Spotify being tied to the mob and playlisting and payola, etc., and see what's going to come out of that first, just because that's like the bigger of the three. Spotify has been pulled into a lot of things here. So yeah. Just want to make sure I have a good shuffle. So let's see. I do want to show that we do have the Queen of Swords here. I had a whole book that jumped out here to the side that I want to show you. I'm not going to read these cards. I'm just going to mix them in back like so. I'm going to put a few at the top, a few at the bottom, and a few in the middle. And I'm going to shuffle this again. Okay. I do have the 7 of Coins here as well. And then I'm going to count these other 5 cards as well. So let me make sure I have room on the screen. Again, we have the Queen of Swords, the 7 of Coins. I have the 10 of Wands. Is that? Yep, the 10 of Wands. I have the Page of Cups in reverse. And then I also see the Devil here. Something makes me feel like... I almost get something like... bending the rules is kind of the price of business, but you have to, it almost feels like, again, I don't know where this is coming from, but it almost makes me think of kind of like, you have to do the math on whether it's worth to bend the rules in that moment in time versus what you will have to pay back later if you're ever caught. Basically weigh out the risk and rewards is what I'm kind of getting here. Because to me, with the Page of Cups coming up in reverse against this Queen of Swords in the upright, it's kind of like, this is all, yeah, analytical. This is all analytics. This is all data. This is the price of business. This is being, business minded. We don't care. There's no emotion in this. We don't care about the kind of like human repercussions or how people feel about it or if it's morally correct or not. It's, legally on paper, is these certain things, are these certain loopholes we can expose and work through and deal with. And if there is certain things where we kind of have to bend the rules a little bit or we have to reinterpret them, are we okay with the price that we're going to have to pay down the road if and when we're caught, essentially. It's kind of like what I'm getting here. And to me, with the Devil, it's just like that's the price of it's like that's the price of doing business with the devil. That's the price of like yeah, just get into the bag. That's the price of what we have to pay. Yes, it's a heavy burden, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, you're getting paid, you're eating, we're a company. It's helping, it's allowing certain things to move. I would say if anything, I can't say for certain, but I do kind of get something about like shady dealings. Again, because this is business, yeah, to you and I, something about, getting in bed with some tycoon or whatever who has a very questionable background, it would be hesitant to us in everyday life. But when it comes to something on business, this person has what you need in order to get to point B, C, and D, they're going to do business with them. And so there may be a lot of like morality questions maybe at play here, but it's like at the end of the day, we did business. It's shady business dealings to me, shady practices, more so that is, and that's going on here. And I just see this as a common theme in American business or in capitalism, period. In order to kind of like cut those shortcuts, there is a lot of like, it seems like cost of humanity, a cost of morality, a cost of I guess you could say religious beliefs. Like certain people wouldn't cross it, but it's just kind of like, hey, that's business. It's business is what you do. There's a certain undercut that you have to do. It seems like all of these businesses, if they were to run ethically, they would be running on slim margins, if not in the red. So it's kind of like this: the capitalistic system is built for them to kind of cut corners and see how far they can push the envelope, essentially, in order to make profits. If that makes sense. The underlying energies I'm getting here is a 7 of Cups coming up in reverse. I'm also getting the Hanged Man and look, Judgment. So I don't think they're going to face any real repercussions. I don't think it's going to be, again, look, I'm getting faith here. And this is also like the Hierophant card. This is kind of like, yeah, the people may not like it. The people may judge it. But again, when it comes to the world of business, it's not much you're going to really find on us, or we're just gonna, again, continue the shady business practices and go on about our business. Um, Let me shuffle this deck up too. See if I'm gonna get any clarity or anything with that. Okay, so I have my three cards here. I have this is the sunflower. This is talking about action, which I don't think is going to happen. I also have infinity. This is unlimited potential. This is also coming up in reverse. And then we have stars, divine guidance coming on here. I don't think something makes me feel like they're kind of going to get a slap on the wrist for some of the stuff that's probably going to be discovered or it's going to come out. I think they're going to try very hard for a lot of it not to go to court. And I think they're working very hard for this to be a thing of like, hey, if you reveal this and this and this, is not going to look good on so and so. And it feels like a lot of power play, the what they call it, political games, intrigue that's going to be happening behind the scenes with this. And I don't think they're going to face like real repercussions from these lawsuits or whatnot. I think again, it's like that's the art of the deal that's going on here in America with most companies, with most businesses. You know, again, it's kind of like capitalism is created for, hey, these are the rules and stuff that we have in place. Let's see how bad you can break them in order to make profit. Because if you actually play by those rules, you're going to be operating on slim margins, or you're going to be operating in what they call it, the black. Like you're not, making profit. You're kind of doing below. So it feels like that's some of the stuff that's coming on here. It feels like this is a lot of like legal loopholes. Again, it may morally not feel the best, or it may not feel right, or it's not gonna seem right. But when it comes to business does not care about morality and how does it make you feel. It's what can you turn those feelings, those emotions, those clauses of morality into a legal argument and actually make your case and supply it and do what you need to with it. The law does not care about your feelings, okay? So this is kind of like what this feels like is boiling down to for me when it comes to Spotify. Um, let's see what's going on with iHeart. Again, these are very surface level readings, and I'm not getting too in the weeds about them because I don't know. But what comes up, I'm going to provide. Let's see here. Let's get into iHeart. Okay, that was a couple things here. Now, iHeart, on the other hand, these look a bit nervy to me. So we have the Eight of Coins here. We also have the Six of Coins coming up in reverse. We have the Seven of Swords, and then we have the the Four of Wands. Another card that wanted to come out was the Five of Wands in reverse, so I am going to keep that up. Actually, I'm gonna place that out here because it flipped over in my hand. So I'm gonna assume it wanted to be here. So Eight of Coins usually to me is kind of like, hey, you're almost there. You were almost giving like it's kind of like if you had like a, what do they call it? Like 401k. I think it's like the best way I can explain it. Or example that I have in my mind right now. It's kind of like you've been paid all your life into this 401k. You're almost at the finish line of retiring where you can pull this money out and enjoy it. So the Eight of Coins is like, hey, it's not time yet. It's still like fermenting. It's still percolating before it gets perfect. You kind of want to leave that investment sitting there. Not sure where that's coming up from or why that's coming up for iHeart, but that's what it is. And then I also get the Six of Coins here coming up in reverse. I'm wondering if somebody did not get their cut on things, and that's probably what's bringing this into notice, because usually when I see the Six of Coins, it's like reciprocity. It's give and take. Scratch my back, I scratch yours. Especially when it comes to like business dealings. This makes me feel like did somebody not get their cut or a fair cut, and they are now coming out to get their fair cut in the process. Then we also have the Seven of Swords. This is talking about sneakiness, underhandedness. This could be, under the table, things that's done in the dark, eventually coming to the light because it is in the upright. So with the Seven of Swords here, so to me it seems like maybe there's a whistleblower kind of thing going on here when it comes to iHeart and their business dealings, allegedly. This is just kind of like what I'm picking up on just first glance looking at these cards. Then I get the Four of Wands. This is talking about home. I don't know if iHeartMedia is ran by a tight group of friends or if it started off with a family or something like that. But this is talking about home. I don't know if there's also something here. I almost feel like there's this, and it is because of this Five of Wands. I'm going to tell you that. But this almost makes me feel like I wonder if somebody left iHeart because from what I remember, I feel like iHeart blew up really fast. They were kind of like one of the bigger ones behind like Pandora and stuff. Like when they first was kind of like branching out with things, they're kind of like almost like the grandfather of digital media, and they've been around for this long. But it almost makes me feel like somebody at iHeart jumped ships and went to one of the competitors, like a Spotify, like an Apple, like a Tidal or something like that, and maybe they got more knowledge or a closer look behind the doors to see like what was the gears that were pulled and shuffled and shaped, and they realized like, oh, I was undercut here, I was left out of something. um or this could be interpreted. The other thing that I can see about this is that there's a thing here of like iHeart is almost kind of like, hey, if I go down, other platforms have to go down with me because they have been applying the same practices as well. And I won't be the only ship that goes down. That's the best way I can interpret the feeling that I'm getting here. It's like one of those two. But looking at the cards, it make me feel like it's stemming from a person, but it could be a group of people, to be fair. I do also see here the Sun in reverse for the underlying energies, justice. See, it looks like they're gonna have to pay the price for something. Look, the scales here, they're gonna have to pay the price for something. The wheel is coming up in reverse. I think iHeart is probably not going to have some of the best news. I don't know what it is about them that they're going to find out. Maybe they're going to have to pay more. Maybe it's not, they won't be completely out of business or anything, but maybe they are going to suffer some kind of setback. I would say that. Because of this investigation that's going on from I believe the FCC is doing this. Let's see. Let's see if I get some more clarity. Let me adjust this camera just a smidgy. Okay. Okay, look, we have butterfly, metamorphosis. It's like, no, we're not changing because everybody, it seems like it's not fair that we're getting held accountable or if our feet are being held to the fire and other people who are doing it, it's not happening to them as well. I almost get the feeling that somebody important left iHeart that usually like covered this stuff up or something, or had, good connections with people that made it harder for like the SEC to go after them, or they was friends with somebody or friends with certain people in higher places. And so people were willing to kind of like look the other way. But now this person has gone or again, went to a competitor, started their own business, who knows? But something along those lines feel like it's coming up for me here. And then look, we have globe possibilities. Yeah, something makes me feel like, yeah, iHeart is about to get it. And look, we have the Infinity card coming up again. This is dealing with unlimited potential. Notice all of their cards are coming up in reverse as well when we're looking at the sign of the times cards. This makes me feel like time is running out essentially for them. With the Affinity unlimited potentials coming up in reverse, it feels like time is slowly running out. I don't know if there's also some other things here. I almost get a thing of like maybe a competitor is putting kind of like the Eye of Sauron on iHeartMedia, trying to break up something that they have. Maybe they have a certain monopoly on something, some data. I don't know, some business practice that they have where they are making a lot of money, but they're probably not making a lot of money when it comes to something else. I almost feel like it's something dealing with like the advertisement or like the concert portion of their company or something that's coming up. But I could be flubbing this a little bit and being a little off center when it comes to that. But I almost feels like somebody is kind of like putting the heat on them because there's something about their monopoly, their business practice that they kind of want information on or to break into, or and I hope it's not something where it's like the government is trying to use iHeartMedia. Is they trying to claim it's like a public entity kind of thing? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's something like that is coming up for me. What is the underlying energies? Phrases, motivation. See, and I can't help but look at the billboard of this. This makes me feel like this is something to do with like their advertising practices. Look, we also have the moon emotions, and then we also have the tree ancestry. Remember, I was saying something about is iHeartMedia, is it ran by a family? Something coming up with that again, because with the Four of Wands coming up here, that's dealing with home, and then we have the tree ancestry card coming up again. I don't know what that is. Is it a family battle? I don't know. I don't know, but I mentioned it and it's coming up again. So I'm going to point that out even more so because it's like now I'm getting a second confirmation for that. If it's not family, it's some very close dealings, maybe something along the lines of like parent company, and then you have your subsidiary companies or something like that that's under this one major conglomerate, I guess you can say. So I don't know what that's pointing to, but it's coming up twice now. So I think there's something there about that. I don't know if it's looking good for iHeart though, to be completely honest with you. Okay. And then I need to check and make sure, was Billboard also a part of it? So they are, they have been reported in kind of like, I don't think they actually are listed as a person of interest or a business of interest in this, but I think they are involved in some of the, I guess you could say like a tertiary candidate for some of these lawsuits and stuff like that. These investigations that have been listed against places like Spotify and Apple and iHeartMedia. So I wonder if there is a tie here with that. And then I'm gonna wrap this up so it's not super long. Um, I can't speak to the Apple one at all because I just really don't know what's been going on with that. I really haven't heard too much about them, but I am interested in the billboard and the Twitch of it all, because you have had so many Twitch streamers kind of get involved with certain allegations and stuff like that, especially when it comes to sports betting. And I've done a reading on that as well. Okay, it's the partnership connection, some kind of contractual thing here. Okay, I do want to note these. I'm going to put them back. We do have strength. We do also have the Eight of Swords coming up in reverse. Excuse me. And then I have the Eight of Coins also coming up in reverse. Notice all these eights. 888. Maybe I should leave these out. Wait a minute. Eights. All of these eights. Okay, they all eights. Three of Coins. I have the Strength card. I'm going to cover up that. And then this is talking about in regards to billboard. We have Scorpio, the sun. Sorry, not Scorpio, that's Virgo. And the sun, we have, I believe that's Gemini. Then we also have Leo, and then we also have Capricorn. There's a lot of attention being brought to them. maybe unwanted attention because of the partnerships that they have with people. And they don't want all of that attention because maybe it's making the spot a little hot. Where they could potentially be, they'll start looking into their money dealings and where their money is going and how their money is spent, some of their practices. Okay, that's what it is. I don't think Billboard has above the table business practices either. And again, it just makes me feel like that's the nature of doing business in the music industry or under like capitalism. It just feels like there's a certain, it's like a pay to play essentially. Like I also have the King of Swords coming up here for the underlying energy. I have the King of Coins. Oh, this music industry all over it. Usually when I get all these swords and coins and it's dealing with the music industry, yes. So I don't know who all these people could be. It don't always have to be people. It could just be talking to pertaining to the different situations, personalities that comes out in this. But to me, again, this feels very. Well, I'm getting antithetical, antithetical. What is this word? This I want to say antithetical. I'm gonna have to look that up later. But I feel like there's something that's coming up. But it's just kind of like, nope. I gotta look that word up now. Please hold. I gotta see what this. I feel like I vaguely remember what this word is, but it's not something I use in my everyday kind of like antithetical. What is this? Oh, usually making two things incompatible. That sounds like it sums up about right about the music industry. Because the thing that came to mind for me is kind of like, oh, music move people. It's the way people, again, people do art, all sorts of artistic expression. It's how people shape movements and culture and tell stories about things, bring light to things. But as much as we're doing all that with the music, very much behind the scenes, we are very much on guard, trying to uphold certain practices and things in a certain manner for us to make money. Again, you see this King of Coins coming up in reverse here. Notice the King of Coins and this Eight of Coins is coming up here in reverse. For me, what's is this? Oh, it don't say. It should have the zodiac on here. Yeah, so this is Pisces and Aquarius. I think it says that they show on here. Interesting. A lot of airy earth signs. Airy earth signs. Notice that's all what came up is swords and coins. That's music industry all day. Swords again, airy signs that's dealing with your brain, with your mind. When you think about coins, think typically it boils down to kind of like not metaphysical, but like physical matters of wealth. I don't always think of just like monetary. I think of materials. I think of the sweat equity. Essentially, I just think of that. Like how much time or energy are you paying into something? Antithetical is a word. Yes, it's funny that was coming up here. Oh, and the other thing I just remember something too. Duh. It's like right there in front of me. Billboard is supposed to be the representation of what the people want, what the people desires, or showing the reflection of what the people want. But if you are purposely, allegedly, this is my commentary, my opinion here. But if Billboard is purposely shaping or trying or misconstruing what the people want or what people need because they have their hands in the pocket of certain businesses that I've read on previously or certain other big music industries or record labels, and they're shaping what people are listening to, that is kind of antithetical to what you're supposed to be representing. You're supposed to be showing, the real raw data on things, and yet you are kind of like subverting that because you have questionable business practices. And again, To me, it seems like that's the operation of capitalism. That's how you win the game of capitalism. Hey, these are the rules and stuff that we have, but the rule of the it's like playing Cheaters Monopoly. If anybody has ever played Cheaters Monopoly, it's like, yeah, this is the rules of the game. However, the way to win the game is that you have to cheat. Otherwise, you can't win. You have to cheat. You have to steal money from the banker. You have to steal money from your competition. You have to thwart people's rise to fame, or to get into the top. It's kind of like playing Cheaters Monopoly. Or another way I can explain it, it's like playing the game of Go. I have to subtly influence you to move in a certain way to where I can win the board. Um, Yes, it's like playing chess, but it's like playing Go. It's subtle influence. We're not actually fighting or going up against each other like you do in chess, but it's just like, hey, I'm gonna place this blockade here. I'm gonna wave my hand over here so you're not seeing what I'm doing, and I'm gonna shape this board to where I'm gonna turn it all my color. What do we have here? Water, and this is surrender. That's like not changing anything. No, we don't surrender. We're not changing anything. Um, we've been around long enough. Look, yin and yang, a balance. Ooh. So is there not a lot of feminine energy when it comes to this? Something about that is coming up to me. Because you also have the water. You have this earth and air sign coming up here. It's just like, firefly, wonder. All of these cards are coming up in reverse. And I know, look, okay, yeah, so some of them are in the upright, so I'm not understanding why is all of them coming up in reverse. But okay. Um Firefly Wonders was throwing me though. Balance, yin and yang. I'm just getting toxic. Ooh, toxic. Yeah, it's a toxic work environment. It just seems like overall, top to bottom. Um, Side to side, laterally, it just diagonally, it reads toxic work environment. What was the underlying cards? Messages. Here we go with that tree ancestry again. And the moon is coming out again this time in reverse with emotions. Again, something about maybe that's the antithetical of it all. These artists are pouring all their emotions and stuff into it, and you're just reaping all of the benefits. You're being very cold hearted about it. Maybe callous is the word. It just feels yeah, okay, with the tree and the ancestry coming up here again, maybe this is in connection, the business dealings and stuff like that here. I don't know if it's a family that's running all on top of all of these things. Are they connected in that sort of way, or maybe by marriage or something? I don't know, but that tree ancestry card is coming up, and the messages. I mean, you just got a message from me about what's potentially going on behind the scenes here and why this is being looked into. Um, yeah, I think very much as we see, yes, thank you. I think this is indicative of kind of like very much as above, so below. Um, as above, you see on the world stage, you see a lot of the, I guess you can say, power struggles that's going on. You see them kind of like flipping the game board and trying to reset. Is this power struggle that's going on? Very much below is also another battle with, you see things that um, subtly shape, influence in the way people think and culture, and you see it in the music industry, and you see it with things like, again, you see it with things like Spotify, you see it with things like YouTube, you see it with things like um iHeart Media when we was talking about the advertisement. It's very much those things where as things are switching it up top, you're seeing it below with the businesses. It's kind of like a trickle down economics. I'm sure Reagan would appreciate that right now. So it kind of feels like a trickle down economics or trickle down effects of some sorts. And it's like as things are changing up above, you're definitely going to see those subtle arms of the larger machine start to switch and change, and kind of like groan under pressure as well until things are set right once again. So yes, that's the colorful way I can put it and hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you would like to see more readings like this from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell, selecting it to all so you can see the next time that I upload. And with that, I thank you for watching, for liking, for subscribing, for being here with me until the end. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.